Coming live from the Tivoli Met Radio studio here on Auraria campus, this is All Sports with Gerardo. Thank you for listening to All Sports through Met Radio on mymetmedia.com, live every Thursday from 3:30 to 5 p.m. This is your host Gerardo, and all I talk is sports. On the show today, I am going to talk about NFL football, Major League Baseball, NBA basketball, NHL hockey, college basketball, and boxing. So before I start the show, I hope you all had a great week. I had a great spring break, and in the coming weeks, there will be new videos released that I did during spring break on my social media pages at All Sports with Gerardo. To start off with some Major League Baseball, Chris Sale and the Red Sox have agreed to a 5-year contract extension. Justin Verlander and the Astros have agreed to a 2-year contract extension. Jacob deGrom and the Mets have agreed to a 5-year contract extension. Ronald Acuna Jr. and the Braves have agreed to a 8-year contract extension. Xander Bogart and the Red Sox have agreed to a 6-year contract extension. David Bodie and the Cubs have agreed to a 5-year contract extension. Randall Grichuk and the Blue Jays have agreed to a 5-year contract extension. Kevin Pillar was traded to the Giants. German Marquez and the Rockies have agreed to a 5-year contract. The Rockies re-signed catcher Drew Batura to a minor league deal. Rockies first baseman Daniel Murphy is going to miss a month with a fractured finger. So it's unfortunate that the Rockies are going to be without Daniel Murphy, but they're going to have Mark Reynolds step up. They're also going to have Ryan McMahon, and they called up Pat Valaika. So they're going to have Mark Reynolds, Ryan McMahon, and Pat Valaika step up in the absence of Daniel Murphy. And it's going to be their opportunity to prove themselves and also show what they're capable of. In this next month will determine if they have a roster spot with the Rockies or if they're going to get sent back down to Albuquerque. So we're going to have to wait and see how those three play in the absence of Daniel Murphy. Baseball is finally back. It's a great time of year. I'm glad that baseball's back. Opening day is finally here as well. For this last week, it's been opening week for every team in baseball. So 2019 should be a great year for baseball. This first week of regular season baseball has definitely been great. Madison Bumgarner, Zach Greinke, and Jacob deGrom have been hitting home runs. Madison Bumgarner's known for hitting home runs. Zach Greinke hit 2 home runs. Jacob deGrom pitched great, and he also hit a home run. So many people think that pitchers can't hit, but there's definitely some pitchers, especially in the National League, that can hit. Madison Bumgarner can hit home runs. Zach Greinke has. Jacob deGrom has shown that he can hit. Clayton Kershaw can hit too. So even though pitchers only hit in the National League, some of them can definitely hit. So this first week of baseball has definitely been exciting pitching wise. The pitchers have definitely been great. So in the National League, when a pitcher comes up to bat, you better pitch good because they can definitely hit. Sometimes it's an easy out, but sometimes a pitcher will definitely battle. So watch out for Madison Bumgarner, Zach Greinke, and Clayton Kershaw because they can definitely hit. Bryce Harper has definitely looked good in a Phillies uniform. He's been playing great. The Phillies have been playing great as well. This past week, Bryce Harper made his return to Washington, D.C., to Nationals Park, where his career began. In his first game back, coming out of the visitors' dugout in a Philly uniform, his first at-bat, he got a lot of boos from the crowd. Max Scherzer was able to strike out Bryce Harper both times he faced him. But after that, Bryce Harper was back to the Bryce Harper we know. he was able to produce some hits. And to save the best for last, he was able to hit a home run in Nationals Park, and he did that bat flip once he hit that home run to show who he is. And he even acknowledged the Philly fans that were in attendance, especially the Philly fans that were out in right field rooting on Bryce Harper. So Bryce Harper and the Phillies have definitely looked great these first few games, and they're looking to have a great season. And Bryce Harper's definitely been playing like the Bryce Harper we know. Manny Machado has also looked great as well. He's been able to hit his first home run in a Padres uniform. So baseball is definitely going to be exciting. There's definitely been a lot of players that got signed to new contracts, new contract extensions, and all of them have been playing great in this first week of baseball. So I can't wait to see what they all do this season. The Rockies opened up the season on the road against the Marlins and the Rays. The Rockies won the first 2 games of the regular season, but after that they struggled against the Marlins the last 2 games. They struggled against the Rays the first 2 games. Luckily, the Rockies were able to win the first 2 games of the regular season against the Marlins and the last game against the Rays. If it wasn't for Chris Iannetta in the 11th inning when he hit that solo home run, I don't know if the Rockies would have won that game. It was definitely a long game. The Rockies and the Rays ended up going to 11 innings. It went into extra innings. German Marquez definitely pitched good. They needed that win. They got it. Now the Rockies are excited that they're leaving Florida and they're heading back here to Denver. For some reason, the Rockies always struggle down in Florida, no matter if they're a good team, a bad team, if the Marlins or the Rays are having a good season or not. So the Rockies are definitely glad to be back here in Colorado. Even though the Rockies struggled these first few games of the regular season, it's the beginning of the season. I wouldn't panic just yet, even though the bats were really quiet, even though the starting lineup didn't produce a lot of hits or runs. The pitching was great. It's only the beginning. There's still a lot of season left, so don't panic just yet. Opening day for the Rockies is Friday, April 5th against the Dodgers at Coors Field. It doesn't get any better than that than facing your division rival, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the team that took the National League West from you last year. So the Rockies definitely want some revenge this season. Opening weekend's definitely going to be a great matchup against the Dodgers. The Rockies' first homestand at Coors Field is against the Dodgers over the weekend and against the Braves the following week. Expect opening day to be sold out. It's going to be nice weather this year compared to last year. The whole weekend's going to be sold out. It's the first 3 games. The Rockies are going against the Dodgers. Then the Rockies go against the Braves the following week. If you can, head out to Coors Field for this first homestand. Check out the Dodgers games or the Braves games. The Dodgers games are expected to be sold out. So if you can't make it to the Dodgers, definitely head out to the Braves games or wait until the Rockies come back to face the Phillies and the Nationals towards the end of the month. I'm glad that Rockies baseball is finally back. It's been a long off season. I hope the Rockies play great this year. Hopefully they can win the National League West and the Dodgers don't take it from them like they did last year. Definitely the Dodgers are a front runner and a favorite to win the division because they've won it the last few years. They've been in the playoffs. They've reached the World Series the last 2 years, so they're definitely the favorite. But if the Rockies can play some great baseball like they did last year, then they can be in the race with the Dodgers for the National League West. With the Rockies going into the postseason as a wild card, back-to-back seasons, the Rockies would like to make it back into the postseason this year, but they would like to win the National League West. Hopefully third time's a charm. They can get back into the postseason and advance further into the postseason as well. The Rockies starting pitchers this year will be Kyle Freeland, German Marquez, John Gray, Tyler Anderson, and Chad Bettis. Kyle Freeland and German Marquez have looked great so far, even John Gray. Tyler Anderson struggled in spring training, and he's been struggling in his first few games of the regular season, but hopefully he can get back to pitching better. He's a left-handed pitcher. We definitely need him in our starting rotation. And Chad Bettis looks like he's going to have a lot of potential this season. He's been pitching great as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to the Rockies starting lineup. Hopefully they can get back to hitting, because they're definitely a tough lineup and they got a lot of talent. Hopefully the Rockies starting rotation can pitch great as well. Hopefully the bullpen can pitch great. Wade Davis will be a great closer for us again this year. So it's a great time of year. I'm definitely excited for Rockies baseball being back. And I'm excited for the 29 other teams as well. Baseball's finally back. It's a great time of year. It doesn't get any better than that. So the favorites to win the World Series this year includes the Red Sox, Astros, Yankees, Dodgers, Brewers, Cubs, and Phillies. The Rockies, Brewers, Rangers, Padres, Mariners, Nationals, and Rays have never won a World Series. Looking at that list, the Rockies and the Brewers definitely have the potential of reaching or winning a World Series in the coming years. So watch out for the Rockies and the Brewers. Next week, I will get into my early season predictions and individual awards, and I'll tell you what teams are favored to win their division, get into the postseason, and what individual players are favored to win certain awards as well. So watch out for that next week. Right now I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about the NFL. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to NFL football. After 9 seasons with the Patriots, Rob Gronkowski announced he is retiring from the NFL. During Rob Gronkowski's career, he had 79 touchdowns, 7,861 yards, 521 receptions, and he is a 3-time Super Bowl champion with the Patriots. Rob Gronkowski was definitely one of the best tight ends to ever play in the NFL and for the Patriots. Rob Gronkowski was definitely one of Tom Brady's favorite receivers to throw to throughout his career. Rob Gronkowski, Randy Moss, Wes Welker, and Julian Edelman have definitely been 4 of the favorite receivers that Tom Brady has thrown to, and they have the most touchdowns in Patriots history and from Tom Brady as well. Rob Gronkowski was always one of Tom Brady's favorite targets to throw to. And for defenses and opposing teams that had to face Rob Gronkowski, it was hard to cover Rob Gronkowski. Whether you played a zone defense, a man-to-man defense, you had one guy on him, you double covered Rob Gronkowski. It was hard to cover Rob Gronkowski. And if you only put one guy on him, or you didn't have a defense that could cover Rob Gronkowski, that was it. He was going to find a way to go around the man covering him. Rob Gronkowski was always going to find a way to get open, catch the football, and he'd be gone. He'd be running down the field scoring a touchdown. Even though defenses and opposing teams had a hard time covering Rob Gronkowski, they definitely respected him because of the talent that he had. And he was very talented. And he can catch that football whether you have a single man on him or he was double covered. You were covering him. And if he was wide open, that was it. He was catching the football. It's unfortunate that Rob Gronkowski's career was so short and it had to come to an end. But he definitely had a great career in the NFL as a tight end for the Patriots. The reason why Rob Gronkowski's career had to end so early was because he just had so many injuries throughout the years with his back, head concussions. There were many times that he was out during the regular season, in the postseason. A few Super Bowls he missed, so he missed a lot of time almost every season throughout his career, so that's what ended Rob Gronkowski's career so early. After the Patriots beat the Falcons in Super Bowl 51, that's when Rob Gronkowski started debating if he should retire or not. After the Patriots lost Super Bowl 52 to the Eagles, he started debating more about it. And then now that the Patriots reached Super Bowl 53 and they beat the Rams in Super Bowl 53, Rob Gronkowski knew it was time and that he was going to leave as a Super Bowl champion. So even though Rob Gronkowski had a short career, he definitely had some great numbers. The Patriots had many Super Bowl appearances throughout his career. The Patriots had many winning seasons. They won their division many times. They reached the postseason many times. They played in the postseason many times. They reached the conference championship many times. They reached the Super Bowl many times. They won the Super Bowl 3 times. So Rob Gronkowski definitely had a great career, and I wouldn't be surprised in 5 years if Rob Gronkowski's name reaches the NFL Hall of Fame ballot. And if it does, there's no doubt Rob Gronkowski's going to be a future NFL Hall of Famer, even though he had a short career. But he definitely had a great career. He put up some great numbers as a tight end for the Patriots in the NFL. And this ain't it of Rob Gronkowski. Even if it's not now and it's later on, Rob Gronkowski is definitely going to be back on TV as an NFL analyst working for a TV station. And there's no doubt Rob Gronkowski would be great as a reality TV star or an actor in shows or movies. He definitely has that personality. So this ain't the end of Rob Gronkowski, and there's no doubt he's going to be back on TV in the coming years. So congrats to Rob Gronkowski on having a great career in the NFL, and enjoy retirement. Wide receiver Jordy Nelson announced he is going to retire from the NFL. Right now I'm going to tell you about the moves that have happened in NFL free agency. So to start off, the Broncos re-signed quarterback Kevin Hugan to a 1-year contract. C.J. Anderson and the Lions have agreed to a 1-year contract. The Chiefs traded safety Eric Murray to the Browns for defensive end Emmanuel Hugan. The Eagles acquired running back Jordan Howard from the Bears in exchange for a 2020 draft pick. Linebacker Brandon Marshall and the Raiders have agreed to a 1-year contract. Running back Isaiah Crowell and the Raiders have agreed to a 1-year contract. Offensive lineman Quentin Spain and the Bills have agreed to a 1-year contract. The Steelers released safety Morgan Burnett. The Raiders released wide receiver Seth Roberts. Right now I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about the NBA and NHL. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to NBA basketball. Last week, the Spurs retired Manu Ginobili's jersey. Also last week, the Heat retired Chris Bosh's jersey. Vince Carter moved into 5th in all-time games played. Chris Paul moved into 9th in all-time steals. James Harden moved into 9th in all-time three-pointers made. Klay Thompson moved into 16 in all-time three-pointers made. LeBron James moved into 19 in all-time three-pointers made. Rajon Rondo moved into 18 in all-time assists. Russell Westbrook joins Will Chamberlain as the only 2 players in NBA history to record a 20-point, 20 rebound, and 20 assist triple-double in a game? On Wednesday, during the Nuggets-Spurs game, 63 seconds into the game, Spurs head coach Greg Popovich was ejected from the game. Greg Popovich set an NBA record for being ejected in the first 2 minutes of a game. So right now for the Nuggets and for the rest of basketball, we're coming down to the end of the NBA regular season. And for the Nuggets, they got to win some games. They got to win these last few games. The last few games they played in, some of them they won, some of them they lost. And they lost to the Warriors, so there goes their chance of winning the number 1 seed, being the best team in the Western Conference, and having home court advantage throughout the playoffs. But the Nuggets are definitely still fighting to hold on to the 2nd seed. But if they can't win these last few games, then they're going to drop down to the 3rd seed. So right now, in the final games, it's important for the Nuggets to win if they want to hold on to this 2nd seed. But the Nuggets have definitely had a great season, no matter what the outcome is these last few games. And they've definitely been one of the best teams in the Western Conference. They already clinched a playoff spot, and they're definitely going to have home court advantage throughout the playoffs, depending on how far they get. The Pacers, Celtics, Rockets, Trailblazers, Jazz, Clippers, Spurs, and Thunder have clinched a playoff berth. The Spurs are going to the playoffs for a 22nd consecutive season. There's no doubt Greg Popovich is one of the best head coaches in the NBA and in all of sports. He's definitely had a great coaching career. The Spurs have also won 5 NBA championships, and they've been to the playoffs all these years as well. The Warriors and Bucks won their division. The Warriors and Bucks are also trying to win a few more games so they can win their conference and be the best team in their conference and clinch home court advantage throughout the playoffs. The Lakers have been eliminated from participating in the playoffs for a 6th year in a row. The Lakers announced LeBron will sit out for the rest of the season. This will be the first year in the last 8 years LeBron won't be playing in the finals. The last time LeBron didn't play in the playoffs was the 2004-2005 season. So this year it's definitely going to be different without LeBron in the playoffs, especially playing in the NBA Finals. But there's definitely going to be a lot of other talent, individual players, and teams that are going to be participating in the playoffs this year. So even though LeBron's not in the playoffs is definitely going to be exciting, and I can't wait for the playoffs to start. Right now I'm going to give you the current NBA standings and playoff picture in the Eastern and Western Conference. So to start off in the Eastern Conference, at number 1 is the Milwaukee Bucks, and number 2 is the Toronto Raptors, and number 3 is the Philadelphia 76ers, and number 4 is the Boston Celtics, and number 5 is the Indiana Pacers, and number 6 is the Detroit Pistons, and number 7 is the Brooklyn Nets, and at number 8 is the Orlando Magic. If the playoffs started today, the Bucks would be going against the Magic, the Celtics would be going against the Pacers, the 76ers would be going against the Pistons, and the Raptors would be going against the Nets in the first round of the playoffs. Every team in the Eastern Conference except for the Pistons, Nets, and Magic have clinched a playoff berth. The 6, 7, and 8 seed is still up in the air, and the Heat are still fighting for a playoff position as well. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens in the Eastern Conference. In the Western Conference, and number 1 is the Golden State Warriors, and number 2 is the Denver Nuggets, and number 3 is the Houston Rockets, and number 4 is the Portland Trailblazers, and number 5 is the Utah Jazz, and number 6 is the Los Angeles Clippers, and number 7 is the Oklahoma City Thunder, and at number 8 is the San Antonio Spurs. So if the playoffs started today, the Warriors would be going against the Spurs, the The Trailblazers would be going against the Jazz. The Rockets would be going against the Clippers. And the Nuggets would be going against the Thunder. The playoffs are set in the Western Conference. All 8 teams have clinched a playoff berth, and the 8 teams I listed will be going to the playoffs. So the playoffs begin in 9 days, and really the only thing that can change is the seedings in both the Eastern and Western Conference. Some teams can definitely move up and down, so we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. But the end of the regular season is in 1 week. So that's the current NBA standings and playoff picture in the Eastern and Western Conference. Moving on now to NHL hockey. Tampa Bay won the President's Trophy. Calgary has the best record in the Western Conference, and they clinched the Western Conference. Right now I'm going to give you the current NHL standings of the playoff picture in the Eastern and Western Conference. In the NHL, the division standings go off the amount of goals the team scored, not by the wins or losses by the team. So to start off in the Eastern Conference, in the Metropolitan Division, Washington and the New York Islanders have clinched a playoff berth. In the Atlantic Division, Tampa Bay clinched the President's Trophy. Boston and Toronto clinched a playoff berth. In the wild card, Carolina and Columbus are leading the 2 wild card spots right now. Carolina's at 95 points and Columbus is at 94 points. But right behind Columbus is Montreal at 94 points. So we're going to have to watch out for the wild card in the Eastern Conference. This can definitely change. In the Western Conference, in the Central Division, Winnipeg clinched a playoff berth, Nashville clinched a playoff berth, and St. Louis clinched a playoff berth. In the Pacific Division, Calgary clinched the Western Conference, San Jose and Vegas clinched a playoff berth. In the wild card, Dallas clinched a playoff berth, and the Colorado Avalanche are leading the 2nd wild card spot right now. Since the Avalanche had a good game against the Edmonton Oilers, and they beat Edmonton 6-2, that gave the Avalanche a great lead in the wild card standings. And all they got to do against Winnipeg is score 1 goal, and the Avalanche will be back in the playoffs once again. So it's looking like the Avalanche are going to get back in the playoffs, so that's great for the Avalanche. So that's the current NHL standings and playoff picture in the Eastern and Western Conference. And there's only about a week left in the NHL regular season. And the Stanley Cup playoffs begin next week. And it's definitely going to be great to see the Nuggets and the Avalanche in the playoffs at the same time. And they're both going to have home games here at the Pepsi Center. So if you're a fan of the Nuggets or the Avalanche, you definitely need to go out to the Pepsi Center and see the Nuggets and the Avalanche in the playoffs. Right now I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about college basketball, boxing, and the end of the show. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to college basketball. The men's college basketball tournament has definitely been a great tournament so far. There's definitely been a lot of surprises, a lot of great games, and a lot of lower seeds have definitely surprised a lot of the higher seeds as well. March Madness has definitely been great. It's always a great time of year to watch college basketball as well. And I definitely like when a lower seed upsets a higher seed. In the Sweet 16, we had number 1 Duke, number 2 Gonzaga, number 3 UNC, number 4 Virginia, number 5 Texas Tech, number 6 Michigan State, number 7 Michigan, number 8 Houston, number 9 Auburn, number 10 Pooter, number 11 Kentucky, number 12 FSU, number 13 LSU, number 14 Tennessee, number 15 Virginia Tech, and number 16 Oregon. In the Elite 8, we had number 1 Duke win against number 2 Michigan State. Number 1 Gonzaga went against number 3 Texas Tech. Number 1 Virginia went against number 3 Pooter. And number 5 Auburn went against number 2 Kentucky. In the 2019 Men's College Basketball Final Four, number 2 Michigan State will go against number 3 Texas Tech. And number 1 Virginia will go against number 5 Auburn. Number 3 Texas Tech has made it to their first Final Four in program history. So the men's college basketball Final Four is definitely going to be great. I wasn't expecting Texas Tech and Auburn to be in the Final Four, but that's great for them that they made it that far and they have a chance at winning the men's college basketball tournament. Many people were expecting to see Duke, UNC, Gonzaga, and Kentucky in the Final Four, but also Tennessee, Virginia. They also had a chance of getting into the Final Four as well. But Duke, UNC, Gonzaga, they all got upset in the Elite Eight, so they won't be participating in the Final Four. I would have liked to see Duke and UNC in the Final Four and potentially match up once again this season to see what team would have won the men's college basketball tournament. That would have been nice to see. But the Final Four is definitely going to be exciting, so make sure to tune in to the semifinals and the final game of the men's college basketball tournament. The final 3 games are definitely going to be great, especially that championship game, so you definitely don't want to miss it. Moving on now to boxing. Conor McGregor announced on Twitter he has decided to retire from MMA. Moving on now to end the show. What to watch for this week in sports? Opening week for every team. Major League Baseball. Opening day for the Rockies at Coors Field. The Rockies' first homestand at Coors Field is against the Dodgers over the weekend and against the Braves the following week. NBA basketball, the Nuggets, NHL hockey, the Avalanche, the men's college basketball Final Four tournament. Moving on now, on the next show, I will talk about NFL football, Major League Baseball, NBA basketball, NHL hockey, and college basketball. I hope you all have a great weekend. Tune in to the next All Sports with Gerardo show next Thursday from 3:30 to 5 p.m. I want to say thank you to everybody that listens to All Sports through Met Radio here on mymetmedia.com. Subscribe or like my pages on social media at All Sports with Gerardo. Until next time, this is Gerardo.